We must not forget our deaf and hard of hearing fans. There are some very simple things that we can do in stadiums that don't actually cost very much money. We can ensure there are hearing loops or induction loops that increase the volume of sound for people who use hearing aids with a special T device. We can ensure that at events like this, we provide sign language. But also we have to think about other practical aspects. What happens when most of us hear the fire alarm, as an example? If you are deaf, you will not hear a fire alarm. You may think if you're in a stadium, you're going to understand because everybody else is starting to leave the stadium. But what if you're the one lone fan who happens to be deaf that is in the toilet at that moment and doesn't hear an alarm? So something as simple as a visual alarm. It's not an expensive device, but can have a huge impact for a deaf or hard of hearing person in any environment, and for a fan in a football stadium. Holger, what I would like you to do, if you may please, is to describe for us why this is such an important topic and just what football means to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you also for the invitation to be here. Let me go back in history a little bit. Want to take you back to 2006, when I created, with a number of friends, the first HSV, Hamburg Sportverein, deaf football fan club. And at that time, I didn't have much idea of what it would mean to have an accessible football stadium. We are the first deaf soccer fan club, and within no time we reached 100 members. Now, going into the stadium, we noticed a few practical problems, but we, as deaf people, were happy to talk together and talk through the matches and just keep attending the matches. But after a while, we felt there was something missing. Now it's 2008. When I met somebody from the DFL, the German Deutsche Football League, and he started mentioning accessibility. He mentioned wheelchair users, blind people, and then it struck me, like, wait a second, what about accessibility for us deaf people? In the meantime, we have many deaf soccer fan clubs. For example, Bayern München, by now we have 13 clubs. We now have a platform where we exchange experiences and discuss barriers we're facing. For example, in football stadiums, there's big screens, announcements are made, but not subtitled. Just as a simple example, this is something we've been campaigning for, and as the number of deaf soccer fan clubs grew, we became more active. And in 2013, we created in German it's called the Dachverband, an umbrella organization of all deaf local club supporters. We now have 14 local members, or local clubs as members, over 600 individual members. And there's a couple of barriers we want to break. Number one, deaf people, deaf fans want to sit together. Hearing people really often wonder why. But imagine a big stadium, 50,000 fans, with perhaps 20 deaf individuals sitting throughout the stadium, not aware of each other's existence, each other's presence. You meet each other in the deaf club a couple of weeks after the match, and you discover that you've both been at the same match and you weren't aware of each other. So we want, like a wheelchair section, we want a deaf section, a deaf fan section. This is really important. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, or which club you support. It should, of course, be in the corner of the stadium, because for all that information, we all depend on our eyes. Don't also forget some older deaf people who have some visual problems. There's a subpopulation of the deaf community who have Usher syndrome, which creates a tunnel vision. So we need a proper place together with no people crossing in front of us, breaking our sideline. We need to be relatively close to the pitch. I think these are the most important, or that's number one, most important. Number two, the big screens, all the information. If a song is playing that has lyrics to it, subtitle it. And this is something I find intolerable in 2015, that this type of information is not made accessible for deaf and hard hearing people. Also in, let's call it the deaf section. In a match, in any soccer match, there's, let's say, officials. If there is an injury, maybe it would be possible to have all the interpreters looking for the word here, all the officials that are around the field. Stewards, thank you. It would be great for every big event, for every soccer match, to have one steward who knows sign language. And let there be the stewards close to the deaf section. So that all information that is made public. You mentioned the fire alarm, but also I can think of other events. I think actually having information or alarms visible, having information subtitled will not only benefit the deaf and hard of hearing community, but also all the non-visually impaired people. I'm sure that a lot of information that's spoken in stadia gets lost in the noise of the crowd. So I think it's a tiny investment. In terms of money, it's next to nothing it'll cost. And it'll benefit everybody. Finally, on club websites, you see an increasing number of video clips, interviews with players, interviews with trainers that are not subtitled. Why? There are parties held, there are Christmas parties at soccer clubs, videos are published on the website that are not accessible for the over 10% of the population that are deaf or hard of hearing. Now, that was my experience in Germany. Now, I've attended European Championships, World Championships, Champions Leagues, matches, and how accessible are these for deaf people? Zero. I watched the Champions League finals. I watched the official UEFA publications. They mentioned accessibility measures for hard of hearing people, for wheelchair users, visually impaired people, none for deaf people. I was in London 2012 for the final, yes, it was the final in London in Wembley. It was München against Dortmund. There were 400 deaf people present in the stadium. There was no interpretation, no subtitled information at all. One deaf fan got an injury during that match. There was no steward, no support services that knew sign language, so he had big trouble in terms of communication from the stadium, during the transport to the hospital and in the hospital. So when there is a deaf section, when you're discussing accessibility, think of deaf people. Whether it's during World Championships, World Cups, European Championships, Champions League finals, all the way throughout. I'm tired of having to battle this. Do carry the torch, please, with us.
Thank you.
And we're not just, and we'll be happy to talk to you afterwards in the pub and have a beer with you. During the match, we want to be together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Some very important points that Holger has raised. As he said, many of them are really easy to implement. What I can tell you is that for both the Euro 2016 and for the future FIFA World Cups, that there will be dedicated stewards that are specialised in the needs of disabled fans but in particular there will be stewards as well that are able to sign in international sign language. So I hope we're beginning to go some way on that journey, but let's keep talking to each other and let's keep pushing for further change. And I think there are some clubs out there that will appreciate hearing more about what you've done in Germany and perhaps what we can do in other countries as well. I'd like to turn back, first of all, if I may, to John, just to briefly